everybody, welcome to Cooking 101. I'm Jen, I'm a dietitian, and I started this show because everybody's stuck at home and nobody knows what to cook anymore. Part of my job as a dietitian is I help people kind of expand what they're doing in the kitchen, incorporate healthier meals, straighten out some good substitutions that they can incorporate to make things the same but better. I'm not a professional chef, but I like to dabble a bit. I've been teaching myself how to cook for a long time. I've taken a lot of cooking lessons, and I like passing on my knowledge to others. So this program was to help people kind of improve what's going on in their kitchen while still enjoying the foods they're eating. Today we're going to be doing a vegan recipe. It's for mashed cauliflower. This is a really good substitute for mashed potatoes. Same kind of texture, same kind of flavor, and we're going to also be making an herb pistou, which is a really lovely sauce that you can put on top of it to add even more flavor to it. Cauliflower is really big right now. It's really trendy. You can substitute it for a lot of things, it turns out. You can make pizza crust out of it. You can turn it into steaks. You can make rice. And you can make mashed potatoes out of it, but without the potatoes. It's been kind of commodified pretty well. I really recommend checking out Trader Joe's selection of cauliflower products. They make your life a lot easier so you don't have to make all this stuff from scratch. If you don't have a ricer at home, it's really hard to make cauliflower rice. I wouldn't even try. But you can buy it prepackaged at TJ's, and you can probably find it in your own grocery store too. And it takes all the trouble out of it. Cauliflower is surprisingly low carb. There's a funny rule of thumb that I learned while I was becoming a dietitian that was try to avoid white foods. Cauliflower is kind of the exception to that rule. So is garlic, actually. Garlic and onions are awesome. But cauliflower is very low carb, so when things are low carb, low starch, there are less calories in them. That's the fun thing about low carb vegetables. Most are non-starchy vegetables, most vegetables out there. Cauliflower being one of them. Looking at it, you would think, oh, this is white, it looks starchy, it's just a big weight thing. But it's not. But it has a very similar property to potatoes in that you can mash it, you can make it into a flour and make breads out of it, well, breads. Pizza crusts, things like that. It has a fairly versatile texture and stays together pretty well. This recipe for mashed cauliflower, you don't need anything special. No special tools. You can use a steam basket if you want, or if you don't own a steam basket, you don't have to use a steam basket. What is a steam basket? I will show you mine when this is done cooking. Right now this is steaming away, and I'm not going to reach my hand in there because I'll burn myself. But I will show you. I like to call them little UFOs because that's what they look like, but they unfold, and you put them in the bottom of any pot you have and steam away. If you do not have a steam basket to steam the cauliflower, that is okay. You can fill a pot with a couple inches of water, maybe about this much, 2 inches. Some of the cauliflower will be a little more boiled than steamed because it's on the bottom, but that'll still kind of accomplish what we're going for here. But other than that, you need a pot, you need a knife, any kind of knife will do. You need something to smush stuff, and we'll get into that. And you need a bowl, and oh, I guess you can buy a potato masher, which I love. This is a cool one, because it takes up less space until... Oh, you're going to make me look bad. There we go. It flips up. This is my cool potato masher. But you don't even need that. So this is a no special tools kind of recipe to make really awesome, low-calorie, vegan, mashed cauliflower that tastes awesome. And we're going to make a little pistou, and we're going to talk about what that is, too. So to start... I didn't buy an extra cauliflower to demo this because then I would have had 2 cauliflowers worth of mashed cauliflower, and I'm the only one who eats this stuff because my husband doesn't like vegetables, because that's my life. I'm a dietitian and I married someone who doesn't like vegetables, and that's awesome. But I decided to just go with 1 cauliflower today for that reason. So I can't demo breaking it down. It is very easy. You don't need any special instruction really. You can cut the whole thing in half if you want. What I did was I removed all the leaves. cauliflower is actually a flower. So as a flower, it's like got the big white bloom and it's got leaves underneath. So remove all those leaves. You don't want to eat them. And then you just kind of cut the core out and that'll release all the florets. What is a floret? So cauliflower is, again, a flower. It's made of clusters of flowers, which we call florets. This is an individual floret. So it'll break down into these little nubs. You just want to break them down into nubs. They don't have to be too big or too small. They don't have to be bite-sized. They just have to be small enough that they'll all cook evenly. So then you put water in your pot. If you are using a steam basket or a UFO, you fill the water up to just above the bottom of the steam basket so you can see it. And that's as much water as you'll need. I used a very big pot, so I didn't really measure the water. That's just the visual you get. If you are not using UFO, fill it about 1.5 to 2 inches full of water. Pile your florets in the pot. Let the pot get nice and steamy, and then you want to leave it in there for... Timing's a little bit funny. I'm adapting this recipe a little bit, and the original recipe said 10 minutes, and 10 minutes is never enough time. You just want it to be nice and tender so that when you're mashing it, you don't get big chunks. So this has been in for like 14 minutes. I'm gonna poke it, see how it's doing. Woo. Alright, it's getting there. It's getting softer. I'm gonna leave it a little longer. Overcooking is okay. You want it soft and mushy. So we're gonna cook it a little bit longer. Oh, I also threw a giant clove of garlic in there that I just crushed slightly. So there's a clove of garlic on top, and then I sprinkled a tiny bit of salt. Very little. That's just to add a little bit of flavor, bring out some of the moisture. But you don't need to oversalt this. Just a couple of pinches is fine. When you are done steaming it, it's going to go in a bowl, which you'll see me do. And then you're going to save the water. Water is reserved because it can help thin out the mash in case it's super thick and unwieldy and isn't doing what you want to do. Adding a little bit of the water is going to make it a little more creamy. But this is a vegan recipe. We're not adding any dairy, which is great. So just save the water for later if you need it. If you don't need it, it's fine. But don't throw it out. That's the one major point. So cauliflower is steaming away with a little clove of garlic and a little pinch of salt. Let's talk about pistou. So what the heck is pistou? Pistou is literally like the French word for pesto. Pesto is Italian, pistou is French. A couple of differences. Italian pesto uses pine nuts. There are no nuts in this whatsoever. So if you have a nut-free household, you're good to go. This also doesn't really have cheese, although some recipes do call for it. This is literally just herbs, garlic, and olive oil, which is all you really need in life. It's a really good combo. It tastes great. So for this pistou, I'm using rosemary, which looks like this. And I'm using thyme, which I've talked about so much. It looks like this. It is my favorite herb. I will go on and on about thyme if you let me. And many puns will be made. So I started stripping most of my rosemary. I'm going to just do a little bit more just for show. A little break off of the branch. Okay, so like a lot of herbs, you're not eating the stem here. You don't need to eat the stem. You don't want to eat the stem. It is very hard and very annoying. So what I'm doing here is just pulling it off the stem. Nothing fancy. It's like a little pine tree. So you pull it off the stem, or the stem pulls itself off. And that's all you have to do for rosemary. Very, very simple. Thyme, same deal. Don't want to eat the stem. Not a good thing to eat. So you're going to strip it. Now, if you have little offshoots like this, that can be annoying. I like to break them off and worry about them later. But for the most part, you just bring your fingers down in a very light pinch and strip it. Thyme is going to go directly in the bowl here. If you have like inch-long pieces of stem, do your best to get it out, but it's not the end of the world. Alright. So traditionally, pistou is made in a mortar and pestle. If you don't know what a mortar and pestle is, that's okay. If you don't own one, that's okay. What it basically is a deep base. It's often made of stone or marble or something fancy like that. And it comes with a little implement that's used to crush and grind and make all sorts of really good, interesting things, including I've seen aiolis and homemade mayos made in a mortar and pestle. It's really good for combining things that are oily, like herbs. Herbs have a lot of natural oils that you want to express, and that's why this is made in a mortar and pestle. And garlic, which is also full of delicious oils that make everything better. But due to some sort of communication error, I managed to throw out my old mortar and pestle without replacing it. So I thought I had one this entire time, and I don't. But that's okay, because this show is about improvising and teaching everybody how to do things at home, no matter what you have. So I will show you how I'm improvising today. So I'm just stripping lots and lots of thyme off. The more thyme, the better. Gotta have lots of thyme. And if I always have lots and lots of herbs left over when I do herby things. You can never use this entire container in one go. If you can, God bless you. I don't know what you're making, but it's probably awesome. But if you have this left over, just start adding it to foods. Experiment. Try it out. Fresh herbs are awesome. They're a great alternative to salt. They're a great alternative to anything that's bad for you. And they have their own vitamins and minerals too, so they're quite good for you. They have a nice health profile all their own. I like to add mine to eggs. I'm super excited to have thyme back in my fridge because I'm going to put it on every egg dish I make this week. Put it on your chicken, put it inside your chicken and roast your chicken, put it all over chicken. It's super good. Put it on a salad. Get some fresh thyme and just sprinkle it on top of your salad. It'll give it a little extra something. With rosemary, rosemary's a lot stronger, but it also cooks really well with poultry. If you are doing any sort of slow cooker recipes, especially with red meat, it's awesome. Or anything that you use red wine in that you're cooking, rosemary pairs well with that as well. It is a lot stronger, so if you're going to chop some up and put it in your eggs, which you can do, just don't do a ton of it because it'll overwhelm everything, and then you'll be like, why am I eating rosemary straight out of the box? But fresh herbs, experiment, throw it on stuff, try it, it's awesome. Okay, so I basically put the thyme I'm going to use in here. I'm always tempted to keep going, but you don't need to watch me strip dozens of thyme leaf stems. That would not make for good show. Alright, so I kind of separated out the rosemary leaves. I'm going to tilt this so you guys can see my cutting board a bit better. Oh god, it's all going to fall. So I've separated out my rosemary leaves here. And that's because I'm going to chop these up a little bit because they are big. And they're not going to make a very good sauce when they're big. So I'm just going over it with my knife. Nothing fancy again, no crazy knife techniques for this show. Just chop it up as best you can, as quickly as you can, or as slowly as you want. You can savor this moment. It is totally fine. Speed is not needed. I just want to make sure you guys aren't stuck watching me cut things forever. Alright. Chopping away at my rosemary, making it small, making it bite-sized, making it sauce-sized. So this pistou recipe, also incredibly simple. Almost as simple as the cauliflower portion. You chop up these two herbs, you chop up garlic, you put everything in a bowl, you put some salt, you crush it, and I'll show you how to do that without a mortar and pestle. And then when you're done crushing it, you add some olive oil, and you're done. That is the entire recipe. You don't need any food processor, which you usually need with pesto. You just need some patience, a little elbow grease, and lots of herbs and garlic, which is always a good way to start any meal. Alright, this is almost chopped up. So, fun fact about cauliflower while we're doing this, it's really high in vitamin C. I keep getting these high vitamin C vegetables week to week. It's a coincidence, but it's an interesting one. So a lot of people think vitamin C is going to make your immune system immortal. And the more you take, the more you're going to just be completely immune to everything. That's not quite how vitamin C works. Vitamin C does help out the body. It does boost the immune system. It is an antioxidant. It helps get rid of any radical cells that might be looking to cause some trouble. It's all good for that. It also happens to act a bit as an antihistamine. So what does that mean? If you take metric tons of vitamin C, it lowers the histamine in your body, which means that symptoms from a cold, like a runny nose or a sore throat, or feeling really hazy or feeling lots of sinus pressure, you get some relief there. That is not a cure, though. Vitamin C does not cure things. It doesn't work that way. And there's a lot of misinformation going around about it. So just so you know, vitamin C can help reduce the symptoms. Now, why is that important? I mean, other than making you feel better, why is that important? When your symptoms are not raging, your body can kind of get a grip a little bit more in trying to fight the disease. Sometimes it fights so hard that it creates all these really uncomfortable, unpleasant symptoms, and here I go, I'm putting more time in. And that can get in the way of healing. So sometimes the immune system does a little too much work. So vitamin C helping to relieve these symptoms can let the body concentrate on what it really needs to heal instead of getting into these loops of fighting the symptoms it's causing. So vitamin C doesn't cure what ails you. It doesn't make you immune before getting a cold, but it can help. It is also really essential for other things in the body, so you need it otherwise. Vitamin C helps your skin heal. It helps wounds close. Without it, your wounds don't close, which is really creepy and scary. It helps make healthy nails. It helps make healthy hair. It helps with collagen production. That's a big thing vitamin C does. So when you're reaching for that bottle of emergency, it's not going to save you from getting sick. It might make the course of your cold a little easier on the body. But that's about it. So it's good and bad. I don't tell people to not take it when they're not feeling well. I just want them to have a realistic expectation. And since everybody is very worried about their immune system right now, I thought I'd have a little chat with you about that, especially because I need to kill a lot of time because I'm just sitting here chopping up herbs. All right, I'm going to add the garlic now. 2 cloves. 2 cloves is never enough for most people, but I'm going to stick with that because otherwise, again, you're going to see me chopping things forever. I'm sitting here peeling the garlic like a schlub. Just crush it with your knife. That makes it a lot easier to get the paper off. There it goes. Oh, there goes a piece of garlic. That's okay. Crushing is also really good because that helps release the oils of the garlic, which is the potent, delicious stuff. Again, there's a garlic clove in my little steam here, and that was crushed before I put it in to, again, release the oils. So here's my steamed cauliflower. It should be steamed to death now because it's been in there for a good long while, but it's going to be nice and mushy now. So I'm going to just move all the florets with a pair of tongs into my bowl. It's already kind of falling apart. That's okay. I'm also moving that clove of garlic in, by the way. I'm going to mash it right in, so it's slightly garlicky mashed cauliflower. Lots of flavor options here. You don't have to do that. That is optional. Garlic is awesome. I want it in everything, so that's why I'm doing it. All right. So, moving all the cauliflower into the bowl. And reserving the water. Remember, that's key. We're not dumping anything out right now. You're holding on to the water just in case you need it. Okay. So that's all that. There's my steamed cauliflower broken into florets and softened up. So I'm going to take my potato masher and I'm going to mash the dickens out of it. You can also use a ricer for this if you own a ricer. Oddly, I don't own a ricer. I never have. I never saw this use for it. And I usually own every odd toy you can get for your kitchen, but that is not one of them. So I over-steamed mine a little bit. It's pretty watery to begin with. Looks like it took on some water while it's steaming, so I'm not going to really worry about adding much water at all if I add any. This is already looking pretty mashed. Alright, so that's the consistency right off the bat. It's a little bit chunky. I'm going to keep working it. Alright. So you kind of have to decide what kind of consistency you want. Again, this seems pretty watery to me, so I don't think it needs extra water. You're going to have to eyeball this part. Everybody is different. It might be drier, it might be wetter, but it is kind of up to you to decide how to go about it. That looks good to me. So that's the consistency I'm going to go for. I'm not going to add any extra water to mine. You might need to. So make an executive decision. Add the water a little bit at a time. Otherwise, you might end up with cauliflower soup, and you don't want that. So that's mashed cauliflower. That is it. You don't have to do anything beyond this. I'm going to make the pistou because it makes mashed cauliflower taste awesome. All right, so I chopped up a bunch of herbs. They're in this bowl. I'm chopping up my garlic. Garlic is awesome. Now, the recipe says mince it. Get it as small as possible. You want to, because otherwise someone is going to get some of this pistou ladled on, and they're going to get a big chunk of garlic, and that's going to be spicy when you bite into it. I love garlic, but not enough to eat chunks of it raw, because that's a lot. So you want to get really, really, really tiny mince on this. Mince is important. Mince is the word of the day. Mince your garlic. All right, so these are all big pieces. So when you are mincing, there's a nice little trick here. I'm going to see if I can tilt the camera to show. Ah! Nothing's broken. That was just the camera holder. Pardon this technical difficulty. There we go. Okay. You can sort of see my cutting board right on the edge. Okay. So when you are mincing, what I like to do is gently hold the front of your knife. This is better with a big knife, by the way. Keep all fingers away from the blade. But you can hold down the front of the knife, and you just kind of go over in a fan. You never lift the whole knife up. You just go back and forth like so. Fan over it. I got some garlic kind of escaping. It's climbing up the sides here. Push it into a little pile so that you're not all over the place. And then you just continue, just cutting it down and cutting it down and cutting it down. There's some herbs caught up in here. That's okay. Mincing up the garlic. Now this is already considered minced, but I'm just going to keep going because I want to get it literally as small as I can. You can also press the garlic. I know you guys are just talking to my lips right now. I will fix the camera in a sec. Garlic presses are totally fine. They'll definitely get the garlic as fine as possible, but I don't always use one because garlic presses make everything a mess, and they don't always consistently get the whole clove. This ensures that you're getting the whole clove minced up nice and proper. Garlic will go a little bit further in a sec so that it's also not in these little chunks either. So that's about as good as it's going to get. I have minced it. It's all going in the bowl now. If you're ever sweeping something up that's very fine on a cutting board, you can actually use the blade. Just watch your fingers. And there's the scoop. If you guys want to try these knife tricks and it's the first time you're trying them, just go about it very slowly, very carefully. The speed will come with practice. Be very gingerly and careful and mindful of your fingers. That's what you got to protect here. Okay. So, my fingers are already covered in garlic oil, but this is a good thing. Tilt you back up again. Hello. Okay. So, now we got garlic and herbs. Everything's pretty finely cut, pretty evenly distributed. I'm gonna add another pinch of salt into this recipe. So this salt has 2 pinches, one into the steaming cauliflower and one into the pistou. You don't have to use any salt whatsoever. I'm just using literally 1 pinch, whatever fits between my finger and my thumb. That's it. That way you don't oversalt things. Going by pinches is a pretty good way to keep things under control. All right, so at this point, if you had a mortar and pestle, this stuff would be in there. I don't have one for some strange reason. So I put it in a shallow bowl, something that has short sides, and I'm gonna use something to press down on everything. In this case, a large spoon. I was gonna use this sucker here, but I couldn't get a good angle in this bowl, even though it's pretty shallow. That would have been hard. So instead I'm gonna use a spoon, which is the next biggest thing I could figure out in 5 seconds when I made this decision. So you're just gonna sit there and you're gonna kind of mash everything. It doesn't matter if you mash the garlic into the herbs or if you mash everything at once, but what I'm doing here, I'm gonna lower the camera again because this is a good visual. What I'm doing here is I mash and I spin, and I mash and I spin, so that I keep mashing different stuff. Now, the salt is helping to grind things, the garlic is helping to grind things, and oils are currently being released everywhere. That is the goal of this entire process, is you want to release the oils in the herbs and release the oils in the garlic and get everything nice and oily. It's not going to happen all at once, but it is actually happening. I can actually see a sheen on some of these herbs. Crushing the leaves of herbs is the best way to express the aroma and the flavor, because it releases all these lovely oils. I'm going to actually sweep things to the side because that's where my spoon is landing, is on the side. Releasing these oils is key to making a good pistou. It also helps break down the garlic further so that no one's getting a mouthful of giant pieces of garlic. I can actually see one in here. I might fish it out later to cut it up some more because that's going to be a spicy bite. Or maybe I won't. Maybe I want a spicy bite. That's always up to you. So we are going to keep mashing. This is another one of those, oh, you get to watch Jen do the same thing over and over and over again. But I did tell you that this recipe really just called for some elbow grease. This is it. You are leaning into it a bit. You're going to get stronger arms from doing this kitchen project. And it can be your workout for the day. Currently, because it is loud and because my ring light shares a power strip with air conditioning and the cords are only so long, I don't have any AC on. So I'm standing next to a very hot pot that is still cooling off while doing something that's a little bit vigorous with no AC in 90-degree weather. So this is a fun project. I'm gonna pretend this is my workout for the day. But it's worth it. You're getting all these oils released. You're making kind of a paste. That's kind of what's going on here. It's not gonna be a paste, but it's definitely gonna have something interesting going on. So now I'm just going over very specific areas that look neglected. This is the same as a mortar and pestle, it's just not pretty. So you don't even need to buy one if you don't want it. All right. So you're not crushing this to death. The original instructions did say make a paste. I'm doing my best. It's not going to be a complete paste, but you'll get something good out of it. And again, the more you do this, the more oil is released, the more flavor you get. I'm going to tilt you back up so you can see my beautiful face. Hi. All right. So we're going to keep working on this. Rah. Since we were talking immune system today, another really, really good thing for your immune system, garlic. Garlic is an antiviral. Really good to have in your gut. Really good to have in general. And it tastes awesome. That's the best part. So add as much garlic as you want. It's great for everything. And it's a flavor enhancer without adding too much salt. Now, we did have a little salt in here. 2 reasons. Salt helps pull liquid out, which is what we want in this process, and salt is also a crystal, which helps grind this stuff up further. But again, I used a pinch, nothing more than that, so we're not over salting our product here. So it doesn't look much different. It looks more combined. It's really hard to see. There's like a really pretty sheen. That's all oils from the garlic and the herbs. So I don't know if that was visible at all. I can't tell. But I hope you can. So you got your pistou. Now, final thing, paying attention, 1 tablespoon of olive oil. That's it. That's the only other thing you have to do. I'm going to eyeball this because I've been eyeballing everything all day. I'm going to put a little more in a tablespoon in mine just because I probably put a little more herbs than you were supposed to. That's okay. You don't need much. You're not making a soup here. Nothing is soup. So this is still pretty thick. I'm going to thin it out with a little more olive oil because it should kind of be spoonable, but you're not making a liquid. Think pesto. A nice even ratio of oil to herb. So this is like got a nice sauce quality to it now. Again, spin it around. And I did it in a Tupperware so I don't have to scoop this into anything else, which is one less plate I have to deal with. So there's your little shortcut for the day. Okay. That is what herb pistou looks like. It's moving around a bit, but it's nice and herby and garlicky. It smells amazing. So for serving, all you're going to do is take your mashed cauliflower, put it on the plate. Because cauliflower, again, is not super starchy, you don't have to put a small amount. You can put half the plate, whole plate. You can eat a whole plate of this stuff. It's good for you. And then you just drizzle the pistou on top, and that's your meal. So that's all you do. By the way, if you ever want to make your own cauliflower rice, it's literally the same cauliflower process, but you need a ricer. Otherwise, you can't make rice without a ricer. So steam it. Don't over steam it like I did. I did that purposely so it would just mash very nicely and I wouldn't have to deal with it. Steam it for about 10 to 15 minutes. Check it. Don't want to make it super tender. Just tender enough that it'll mold through the ricer, and then you just put it through the ricer. Here's your cauliflower rice. That's how you make that. You can also use a ricer to mash it if you own one, but again, I don't, so I didn't bother. But that's fine. I got it done. So it's a very easy recipe. It's very good for you. Got a lot of good qualities to it. Again, it's low carb. It's not going to bother you with too many calories. It's not starchy. It's got lots of vitamins. And if you make this stuff, you're going to want to put it on everything. So I really hope you make the pistou as well because it's awesome. And it doesn't take very long. We're done at half an hour. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you would like to donate to the show, I take donations. They pay for the groceries that I buy to demo. I keep the show open to donations, but it doesn't cost anything because right now jobs are up in the air. The economy's up in the air. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I want to make sure that this is accessible, but I always love donations, and they help my business and they help me. So you can send those to my Venmo, which is JSRockRD. I am also, again, I'm a dietitian, so if you guys are interested in this content and you like a one-on-one session where I can help with any guidance for cooking or making your meals healthier, making your life healthier, you can go to my website, jrockrd.com, see what I have to offer, and if you like what I have to offer, make an appointment. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. And keep those suggestions coming. Thank you to Michelle for the suggestion for cauliflower stuff today. So I got to kind of run with that. If you guys want to see me cook something, please leave a message in the comments. And I'll see you next week.